Hey, welcome back to The Dive. Today on the show, we welcome back Curt Marvis from QYOU Media. Curt's going to share his thoughts on the recent AI advancements, Twitter subscriptions, India's latest IT law revisions, and he's also going to give us a much anticipated update on QYOU Media, from the recent jump in revenue to their newly launched mobile gaming app, and of course, the latest news that investors can be excited about. Hey, Curt, welcome back to The Dive. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, great to be here. It's good to see you again, Cassie.
Okay, so Curt, Meta announced that they intend to use AI to create ads for companies by the end of the year. Where do you think AI and the advertising landscape is heading?
Well, I think AI is going to be used for everything. That's clear. We all know that's happening. And I think it's also in its very formative beginning stages. I mean, the crazy thing about AI for me personally, in my own experience, was that I actually had to do a speech about a month ago in India, and I was late in getting it all together. And I went on ChatGPT and had it actually create the speech for me. And then I went in and edited it, and I only used about 20% of the information that was there, but the format was actually what I used. And I think when you think about something like a Facebook and advertising and finding the right format, if you go into a ChatGPT and said, okay, I'm trying to do an ad that's going to attract 13 to 15-year-old girls or 13 to 21-year-old women, and what should I, for a new, eyebrow pencil or whatever, what do you think the things are that I should put into that ad that are going to hit the target of what they want? I think you're going to get some ideas. You may ultimately come up with other ideas. You may augment those. You may not use any of them, but as a spark, the hardest thing in any marketing campaign, whether it's doing TV ads or print ads or what doesn't matter, any advertising campaign, the hardest thing is to get to what's the idea. And, people sit in a room and get on a whiteboard and write all sorts of crazy ideas up and try to come up with something that they think works. I think AI and ChatGPT and the other AI platforms, I use that sort of generically. I think that being able to use those to pull in information and spit out something that's useful to you, certainly it's a starting point. And so I don't know enough about AI. I'm not an expert enough on it to be able to sit here and say, oh yeah, that's going to happen and that's certain. But I think conceptually, the idea of AI and being able to use it to start something, just like the speech that I was making, just like an idea starter of ideas that would appeal to a certain demographic around a certain product, 100% it can be used for that. And it's only going to get better and better and better as time goes on.
Definitely. Okay, so let's move on and talk about Twitter. Elon Musk announced that creators on Twitter can now charge subscriptions to their texts, pics, and videos. Do you think that Twitter can tangibly change their model to make it more of a one-stop shop for content creators?
I'm not a big Twitter user, but God forbid I would ever question anything Elon Musk says. He's a hell of a lot smarter guy than I am. Twitter's an interesting platform. I don't personally use it a lot. We don't use it a lot for the things that we do for influencer marketing. I consider it to be a very, very different platform than, say, something like an Instagram or a TikTok. I consider those to be fluffier, if you will, than Twitter. Twitter feels to me more like a news-oriented thing. That's just my own opinion. I know that it's used to congratulate athletes, and there's also a lot of silly stuff that's put on it, et cetera. But its roots, I guess, are fundamentally, in my mind, a bit more news oriented. Whether influencers can take advantage of it from subscription services and get the number of users they need and make that successful, I think it's possible. I will say that I know that influencers are constantly looking for new ways to monetize their businesses. And what's happened recently is that there's a period of time when everything was kind of white hot a couple of years ago, when YouTube and Snapchat and Instagram were creating funds that were literally billion-dollar funds for creators, that if you created content for Snapchat, they were going to pay you money for that content. And it became another vehicle for a creator to have some real revenue. All of those companies with decreasing revenues, Insta, YouTube, Snapchat, they've all either cut back or completely eliminated those programs. So for influencers to want to be searching for a new way to be able to get there, then yes, absolutely, what Twitter is talking about makes sense to me. Whether or not Twitter becomes a platform that my teenage daughters are going to be using and to go after influencers in that way, I would question whether that will actually happen or not.
Okay, so Curt, last month, India revised its IT law, which forbids social media companies like Facebook and Twitter from publishing, hosting, or distributing false or deceptive information about the government's business. As per this new law, these companies will have to depend on New Delhi's own fact-checking team to verify accuracy of any claims. Now, as a media company in India, what is your take on this news?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I guess we don't really see it as news. This has been an ongoing battle for a long time. The government in India is always working on trying to create regulatory things, just like it is everywhere. I mean, same thing exists to a certain degree, certainly here in the US and Canada around, child protection laws for certain websites. And they've changed, what you have to hashtag that it's a sponsored ad on a YouTube or a TikTok or whatever, as opposed to where it used to be you could have somebody promote something and not say anything about it, and just, it was so more transparency, I guess, in terms of that. I think this is just the same thing. I mean, we run a broadcast television network in India, and we have to put it through what's called S&P, which stands for Standards and Practices. And standards and practices means if we show someone riding on a motorcycle down the street, we have to have a little thing at the bottom that says, wear helmets when you ride motorcycles because they're dangerous or something like that. That's in the broadcast world. You don't have to do that in the online world yet in India. And so so those kinds of things, standards and practices, rules and regulations. I mean, there's a lot of controversy still in India around like Netflix and being able to show something over Netflix in terms of its rating level, an R-rated level, than what you could show on regular commercial television. So these are things that have been ongoing for a while. So I guess we kind of look at this and we go, okay, so what else is new? That's one reaction. And the other reaction, actually for us very specifically, is because we are a broadcaster as well, and we do the S&P work, and we're accustomed to doing that. You can make an argument that we take social video content and we make it TV friendly because we put it through that process. So we sort of have already built a machine and a process to be able to do that. So we can take advantage of that going forward.
Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit more about QYOU Media. You recently put out your 2022 earnings with $27.1 million in revenue. What's driving these numbers?
It's 27.2 million, Cassandra. But we rounded up there a little bit. Look, it's all parts of our business. I mean, we're firing on all cylinders as a company. Our concept and our model is all built around creating products, content-driven products that are attracting young Indian audience. And India's got the largest population of young people on the planet Earth. There's over 800 million people in India, 30 years of age and younger. So you talk about almost 3 times the population of the United States that's 30 and under. They recently, I don't know if it's good news or bad news, got named the world's most populous country with over 1.4 billion people. So they eclipsed China, and that's just going to keep going. There's just more adoption of everything. We launched a week ago, we acquired a casual gaming company in India called Maxim Tech. And casual gaming's exploding in India. So we look at our business and we see ourselves in the middle of the macro dynamic of youth-oriented things that are happening in the country of India. And we also have an influencer marketing agency business here in the US market that's doing extraordinary business. Our deals keep getting bigger and bigger. We're driving more and more revenue. We're getting more and more clients there. Largely because we're very, very closely aligned in our campaigns with TikTok. So unless and until something happens around TikTok, then that business is continuing to grow super well. So there's just the dynamics, I would say, of all the business units. We have influencer marketing, we have channels, both broadcast and streaming. We have app-based products now. We have gaming products. I think everything is working. And now we've just got to keep turning up the dials and tweaking things in, because we were on a path to invest. And based on the market conditions over the last couple of years, we've had to slow that down a little bit and focus on, okay, let's get to profitability and cash break even, as the investor world's looking for that to happen as a primary objective, not a secondary objective.
What are the main sources of revenue for the company?
Really everything we do currently is either ad supported or sponsored by a direct payment of a brand. So in the case of our television streaming channels and those things, it would be ads that run in a traditional 30-second broadcast style ad, or it could be a pre-roll that happens in a streaming situation, or it could be even pop-ups that happen on gaming platforms and that sort of thing. So banner ads, if you will. On the influencer marketing side of the business, both in India and the US, it's based on, it's project-based. You get an RFP, a request for proposal, from a studio or a gaming company or a car company or whoever it might be, and you propose and say, for X dollars, we're going to deliver you these influencers creating content for this many views. So that's how that business basically works. At the end of the day, though, everything we do is about promoting other people's products and services, and using advertisers to pay us to do that. So we now have, if you combine our channel advertisers, our influencer marketing advertisers, both US and India, we have way over 100 different brands that are advertising and promoting products through us. And that includes everybody from, Google and Facebook to Amazon and Netflix to Procter & Gamble and Unilever, everybody in between. There's virtually not a major mega advertiser that you can think of out there that's probably not doing work with us right now.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations. Okay, so Curt, you've recently launched Q GamesMela, your first direct-to-consumer casual mobile gaming app. Could you walk us through this?
I just spoke a bit about it, but recently we acquired a company called Maxim Tech Digital Ventures, which is a gaming company that was doing B2B2C work, which means that they were creating mobile casual games that they were feeding to another company, Vodafone, Sony, large-scale companies, and running these at scale and delivering these casual games that people would know, like Solitaire or Rummy's another one, or Snakes and Ladders, stuff like that you play on your phone. And so after a year and a half of talking to Maxim Tech, initially about us being a third party, we acquired them because we wanted to have our own capability, because this business is becoming so huge in India with user numbers that are extraordinary. It will soon be, once they get in the next year or two, around 600 plus million mobile casual gamers in India, it will be the largest territory in the world for that. So there's two pieces of that puzzle. One is obviously ads and sponsors and other things that are sold, and prizes that are given away from various brands that we work with, where you get prized to win a free watch or get a TV set or whatever it might be if you end up on top of a leaderboard. The other piece of it is what's becoming known in India as RMG, or real money gaming. Real money gaming is where you are playing games of skill. It would otherwise be known as online gambling or casino gaming. That's also a rocket ship in India. And so we believe that the gaming business is something that attracts the people that we're already reaching through our other brands and products that now reach 125 million people every week. And we've just started to scratch the surface. I mean, this is literally a week ago of launching Q GamesMela, which is our first direct-to-consumer product to that audience. So it becomes not only a revenue generating thing for us, but it's also using our own customer acquisition vehicle that's ours to be able to get these people to download the app, start playing it, and then start to monetize it going forward. So we're just dialing that up right now. I just had a conversation last night with Xerxes Mullen, who's the founder of Maxim Tech, and we're tweaking everything, and we're looking at what conversion rates are and how many games they're playing and what time of day and what the age groups are and all those sort of data points. And so we think that the gaming business is going to be a major contributor going forward for us. And obviously that's had zero to do with our growth to date because we haven't had a gaming business. So we're super excited about it.
Very exciting. So what led you to want to get involved in the gaming sector?
It was really just it was just the growth of the overall, first it was the years ago when I had a company that had a venture investor in it. I asked them what was the first thing they looked at when they were making a venture investment. And his answer is the size and scale of the market that they were investing into. So that if they thought it was a niche thing and it might be big and a company could get market share of a niche, they still weren't interested because it wasn't big enough. So venture investors tend to go after things that are, like AI, that the whole universe is going to be affected by. Gaming's that way in India. I mean, gaming, smartphones are still in rural and smaller towns in India. Smartphones are just starting to proliferate. Unlimited bandwidth plans are just starting to happen. So when you combine all of that stuff, and then you look at our audience, which is made up of a lot of young kids, and actually the other part for us is moms. We have a lot of moms because a lot of the television homes we go into are single family homes, and the moms control the clicker. And so a lot of our viewership of our TV channel, which reaches almost 100 million people every week, okay, is young kids. And the dad's outside because he doesn't want to be inside the small home with one TV, and they're with the mom. And so Q has a lot of, teenagers and young kids and moms. Well, guess what? Moms love playing casual games. So we think we have the perfect audience to go after with this. We've just got to figure out how to reach them most effectively, how to monetize them most effectively. And in the second half of 2023, this will start to become something which will really contribute to our revenue. 2024 and 2025 and beyond, it could be a driver of our revenue picture in India. It has that kind of blue sky potential.
Oh, sounds great. Okay, so before we let you go here, Curt, what should investors be looking out for with QYOU Media over the near term?
Well, I think, we had meteoric revenue growth over the last 2 years. In Q1 of 2021, we did $200,000 of revenue. The quarter of Q4 that we just reported, we did 7.8 million. So in 2 years, we went from 200,000 to 7.8 million. Okay, that's a big growth. I don't know what that percentage is, but it's a lot. Okay. And last year we went, I think, from 5.2 to 6 to 7.2 to 7.8. We just keep growing. That number 7.8 might have been 8 something, but we pulled back on certain things to slow down the top line revenue growth a little bit, not a lot, a little bit, to be able to drive up bottom line profitability. Because a lot of these products, when you launch a gaming product into the market, it doesn't become profitable day one. You've got to invest in it. You've got to get users. You've got to get downloads. You've got to monetize it. You've got to bring on advertisers, all of that. And that takes time. It doesn't even happen in a quarter. It could take years for the product to go from launch to profitability. So what we've done is we've dialed down a little bit the investment we're making into top line revenue growth and sacrificed a little bit of that in order to drive up to where we can be break even and ultimately profitable in the second half of 2023. So we're doing a lot of work right now to be able to do that. So investors should look at that, and they shouldn't look and say, oh my God, they were growing. I mean, somebody asked it on our investor call yesterday, you're only growing, whatever it was, 10% quarter over quarter on your revenue right now. Is that what we should expect going forward? And I was sort of like, yeah, because that's 40% a year annual growth, 50% a year annual growth. That's pretty damn good. But we're not going to, if we're going to go from 27 million to 40 million, I would say that's pretty good. So, that's what we're looking at, as opposed to where we might have said we were going to go from 27 million to 50 million previously, but we would have been losing a lot more money in the process because we would have had to launch more products to get to that level. So that's a long-winded answer to say what investors should be looking at is continued revenue growth, but continued push towards profitability. We're still not going to get there until the second half of 2023. And I think they also should keep an eye on our gaming business and our direct-to-consumer business. Any one of those has the potential to be a rocket ship. And I mean a rocket ship to change the whole face of the company. I said to someone the other day, No one ever talks about Netflix now, about when Netflix, oh yeah, that's the company that was delivering DVDs to your mailbox in a red envelope. No one ever even talks about that anymore. And that was only 10 years ago. There may be a time 10 years from now where nobody ever talks about, oh, Q, yeah, you're a gaming company, that even forgets about TV and all the influencer marketing and everything we do today. That's how big that business could become. We're not counting on that, but these are the kind of, our business is based on solid organic growth of the products we've got and a few blue sky bets that we're making along the way, one of which will ultimately happen and change the face of our entire business. It's why we believe we're so undervalued and why the future is so bright.
Okay, yeah, it does sound bright for you for sure. Okay, Curt, well, that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this update with us.
Okay, well, it's good to see you again, Cassandra. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning into our channel. If you like content like this, please subscribe below by hitting that red subscribe button. Bye.